First of all, my name is Brenda Nicholas. I am your Somerset County Ombudsman. You've probably seen my name on your poster throughout the facility. I want to say Happy Nursing Home Week. Your peers and all your residents met with me, not all the residents, but your peers met with me this morning about 8:30, and we did over 200 bags back there with a little treat. They wanted to thank you, and that's is what they come up with. So please stop back, and Colleen is up here from the personal care unit, and we have John Griffin from the independent unit. They're both peers. We had a couple other ones, but they had other things to do today, so these two volunteered to hand them out and make sure you all got a treat. What I'm going to talk about today is residents' rights, and we're going to do your ABCs like you don't already know them, but here we go. Make sure everybody signs in, or you can't get credit for being here. So please sign in. Can you hear me without the microphone? Thank you. All right, first one, A. Always ask, how many times have you heard a resident being wheeled down the hall, even though the staff was meaning well, but where are we going? And you're going to bingo. I don't like bingo. That decision are those of the residents, not the staff. So do not wheel me to bingo just because you don't want to deal with me. I don't like bingo, and I'm not going. You are going to take me back. How would you feel if you were taken somewhere you didn't want to go? Perhaps the resident doesn't feel well, or maybe she's in or he's in pain. Perhaps they just want some alone time. B, believe. Believe everything that resident has to say, even if it's dementia diagnosis. Perception is reality, particularly in the mind of someone whose cognitive abilities may be compromised. A resident who tells you that they have been abused, you must believe it. You must report it. You're all mandatory reporters. So if they have told you this, you need to report it and let that person do the investigation. The report must be made as the staff are mandatory reporters. As an ombudsman, we are not. I was just talking to your adult protective services and educated her on, I am not a mandatory reporter. I have to have permission from that resident to report it. We are advocates for the residents, encourage them to seek help and they might need. C, consideration. Our residents deserve the most heartfelt consideration. Without them, your facility would not exist. No one, none of us, including myself, or this lady here that's dropping a basket off, would not have a job. We need to remember we are dealing with human beings, not children. Speak to them as adults, dress them as adults, and give them the attention they deserve. That's where my job has been created. We are to make sure you are doing that. If not, sometimes that's where JD comes in. Don't you think, D, don't you think you know what's right? How many times have you've done something to or with or for a resident because you know what works? It isn't always the case. Residents have the right of direct their care. You may be the 20-year-old employee, but remember, every resident is different in each way. Everyone, you is different. Residents care is not a cookie-cutter operation. Remember, the residents are in charge. E, expect the unexpected. Just because something worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today. For those in those homes that dedicate dementia units, which one of your own, these are a specific calendar of activities. However, residents can change from day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. We all know that if you work in those units. Even if the resident does not have the impairments, that it's physical change that causes the resident's routine to change. It may be a simple refusal, the frustration, something set them off, the behavior. F, follow the plan of care. I educate every resident I see, family members about care plans. They need to get more involved in the care plans. These are the real reason we have such an instrument. The care plan is the story of the resident. The resident care plan tells you how to tend to that resident. We should follow the regardless whether we are working this nurse unit or we have been pulled to another unit or the hallway has because of the changing in the staff. The resident has a choice in their care plan and the way we get to know them better. G, give them the time. How long does it take for the draft to eat? As we progress the aging process, we tend to slow down. Are you quick at 10 years ago as quick as you were? Whether it is eating, dressing, speaking, walking, and any other activity, our residents may not be as quick as you think they should be. Many residents take 1 or more hours to finish lunch. I know you have an agenda in the back of your mind while you're feeding residents. Oh, come on. We have to be patient. Whatever you do, do not discourage them. Do not rush them. Do not make them feel like they're less perfect. If they need to take their extra time, be patient. H, hear what they say and what they don't. Every resident has something to say, whether they verbalize it through their body language or the resident who can speak can tell you what they need or want. Keep the conversation going. Try to find out what you can get out of that resident. See what's bothering them. It could be another staff member. It could be a staff person that you're not familiar with or the resident's familiar with. Maybe they don't know their routine. A resident whose speech is affected because of dementia or stroke, other medical conditions, may not be able to tell you what they need. I actually have a form that my staff uses. It's pictures. And if you remember me from last year, we played bingo. And on those bingo cards is a picture of a resident's rights. They can pick out the picture of what may be bothering them. So we can use those kind of things. Or if maybe they can write down or, try to explain it in pain or facial expressions. Finally, some residents who can speak may hesitate to express themselves because they don't want to be a bother. If you know a resident well, you can anticipate their needs. I, ignore gossip. Avoid speaking about private health information in public places. Staff members do not need to discuss certain things with each other. However, make sure it is done in a dignity manner. If you do have to do a report, I remember when I used to come on the floor, we'd walk around with a nurse and she would give us a report. Actually, they stopped doing that before I left. We met at the nurse's station and then we got a report where it was done confidentially in the nurse's station instead of walking around from room to room, because every person heard our conversation about this one here has a UTI, this one here had behaviors today, that one went to the hospital for this. It was private information given out. Use proper terminology, not slang. Well, I'm the queen of slang, so I apologize. Do not refer the resident by their diagnosis. Do not discuss bowel habits. Who hollers down their hall? Did Sally have a medium, small, or a large? I don't know, put her down large, loose. Who wants that written or spoke out about yourself? End of life concerns. Any other care needs in a group setting. How would you like to hear your private life in a crowded hallway or at Walmart? I actually heard people in nursing uniforms. I have no idea where they came from. I didn't ask, didn't care, but I did hear them talking about their day in the shampoo aisle. The resident has the right to privacy. It is our job to make sure that this occurs every day. J, jump. Call bell response is everybody's business. And I mean everybody. I don't care if you're the housekeeper. I don't care if you're maintenance. You are all responsible to answer that call bell because we do not know what's happening on the other end of that call bell. You may not be able to provide care to that resident, but you sure can go tell somebody that can. It doesn't matter if you're a member of housekeeping. I just read all that, sorry. Your responsibility to answer it. You may not be able to give the assistance to the resident, but you can find someone that can. Anyone failing to respond to a call bell, it is called neglect. And that's where JD may come in again. Do not just sit there at the nurse's station trying to figure out whose turn it is to answer it. Or, my favorite, it's not my hall. I don't want to hear that. I don't. Not my hall, not my resident. Keep your hands to yourself. Resident has the right to be freedom of abuse of any kind, including physical, emotional, verbal, neglect, sexual, and financial. Just recently I was here doing a survey, and Rachel's here. I got turned into Rachel by the staff, which is okay. Proud that they reported it. But the resident was okay with me calling her that. I called her honey. But they're correct. You wouldn't think something sweet as calling someone honey, sweetheart. That is abuse. You got to have permission to use nicknames. You have to have permission to say those. It is, Brenda is my name. I told the resident about me getting called to her office. She said, "You're kidding me." I said, "No, we're not allowed to call you that." "I'm okay with it." I said, "I know you were." But the point is, it's still abuse. The resident can be abused without laying a hand on them. Taking a resident's personal possessions, helping yourselves to their stuff. "Oh, they got too much candy in that drawer. I'm going to take a candy bar." That's still theft. Taking their funds, ignoring the resident during care. And I told you guys this before. One of my top 5 complaints is staff coming in and doing incontinent care and having a full conversation with each other. Never once addressed that resident that's there alert and oriented. I had a resident tell me, "I would love for someone to come in and say, 'How was your day?'" Nope. I knew what babysitter canceled. I knew what band was playing what bar. I knew what happened. The babysitter didn't show up. She was late. They don't want to hear that. Helping yourself to their, I read that, sorry. Striking a resident with an open hand, fist, object unacceptable, the grounds immediate termination. And you are going to see JD on that one. And probably your local policeman. Leave your attitude at the door. We all know nowadays everything is going up. It's frustrating. Our bills went up. Car insurance went up. Gas is up. Food's up. Whoever thought we'd pay $12 for eggs? How many of you all went out and bought chickens? I didn't, but my neighbor did. But anyway, we understand the frustration of the cost of living going up. But we need to leave that frustration at the time clock. Cannot bring it into work. All too often we come to work with a chip on our shoulders. This does affect your work. It does show. This will, even the residents will say, "I don't know what happened. She's usually nice, but today she was just crabby. I didn't really want her in my room." I said, "Well, tell her to get out." Unpleasant work environment for you. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Will affect the way you treat our residents and will affect very unpleasant work environment for you. Very uncomfortable living environments for residents. It is very difficult for many of our residents to live away from their own homes. Let's not make it more difficult by showing our grumpy or bad mood side. This resident's home and you are merely a guest. Treat them with dignity and respect by welcoming them in your face. A smile goes a long ways. Magic, make the magic. Whether you realize it or not, you may be the only family member this resident has. And I've had that with my staff. That's who was just here. They misunderstood the training today. We were going to play bingo today, but it changed. They actually tell me, "Do you know how many residents tell me, 'Please come back, you're the only visitor I get'?" A simple smile can make someone's day. A word, thank you, can go a long way. Talk to your residents. They are the most valuable. They are wonderful stories buried in deep inside. I know we don't have the time to listen to residents' life history, but if you ever have a second, just listen to one of them. You'd be surprised what you have here in your own facility. I do remember telling you guys one of my first cases as when I took over the ombudsman was here at Laurel View. And he was an English teacher, and he corrected me every 5 minutes. I swear, every time I said a sentence, he was correcting my English. I told him I am a mountain girl, I can't help it. I met another gentleman here. I've told you guys about it too, and I won't go into it, but he had a brother that invented something very important. You'd be surprised what you have living here in your own campus. So please get to know him. Return to receive from that you will get will be priceless. Just listening to a resident is priceless. Notice everything. There is a network among the residents. Many, the neighborhoods, communities, even if you are not formal. Your residents know more about you than you realize. They listen to everything you say. Are you affording them to the same courtesy? By noticing the little things about residents. Oh, I see you got your hair done. Oh, I did. They love it. They love it. Because there's no family member here to say, I went to the beauty shop today. Just you noticing that I got my hair done today. They love that. You will be able to provide better care and more care for that resident. Offer to help. There are certain jobs for specific certain departments. Have you ever offered to transport a resident to the activity even though it wasn't your job? You weren't a nursing employee or activity employee. Have you ever helped a coworker with a resident who isn't in your group? And your resident have the right to attend activities of their choice. They also have the right to have good care from people who are properly trained to do so by helping each other with the help of the residents. Privacy. Each resident has a right to privacy. Everyone in this room, including myself, including JD, we have to knock on the door and ask permission to come in. I am your so-and-so and I'm here to provide care. I am the ombudsman. May I come in and talk to you for a couple minutes? Sure. If it's no, it's no. Are we knocking on the door? Are we knocking on resident's door every time we enter the room? Are you requesting permission to come in? Are we asking questions? Do we close the door for the resident's room when taking resident to the bathroom? Please tell me you are. I just walked into a facility last week and again, I see knees. When I'm walking down the hall, I should not see knees of a resident sitting on a toilet. You need to ask that resident, do you know where the call bell is in the bathroom? Do you know how to call for help? Shut that door. Or, I walked in a facility probably about 3 weeks ago, got off the elevator, looked to the right, 2 aides providing incontinent care, no curtain pulled, no door shut. I can tell you what nightgown she had on and what color her brief they were putting on her. Now that was your mom, what would you do? You'd be just as mad as I was. I left that room and pulled the door shut. Then I went to the director of nursing's office and told him immediately what room it was and what was going on. Keep that in your back of your mind. I do, as an ombudsman. If that was my mom, would you want her bare butt hanging out the hallway when you all walk down? No. No, you wouldn't. Pull the curtains, shut the door. Make sure that resident understands how to use the call bell, how to ask for help. Quit griping. This is number, I'd say around 6 of my complaints of staffing from residents. I'm so sick of hearing we work short staff. Why are you telling me this? Because that's all the staff tells us. We're sick of hearing it. That is not a resident's concern. If you're sick of working short-staffed, then you go to your administrator or your director of nursing if you feel that you're short-staffed. Okay? There's a PPD sheet, there's a staffing sheet posted in every facility. It is my job to check that sheet as well as the Department of Health or DHS. Department of Health comes in and pulls those staffing. Make sure they're following the regulations. If you feel that they're not, then you need to share that, but don't share it with a resident. They don't want to hear it. I didn't get so-and-so up. She's got therapy. This one needs a shower. We ain't got enough people. Again, my mom don't want to hear it. She shouldn't have to hear it. Every time you complain about your job, you're wasting the time. It's also upsetting the residents. I have residents tell me, I went ahead and got myself out of bed because I didn't want to bother her. I know they were short-staffed. I heard them telling me that yesterday. Do you see the point? You see the problem? So my mom got out of bed because she heard you complaining. So now she fell. Now she has a fractured hip. And then you're going to ask her, why did you get out of bed, Evelyn? Why? If you would have caught your call bell on, we would have came and got you. Yeah, but I didn't want to bother you. I know you're working short staff. No, you're not. And I already checked your guys' PPD. You're not short staff. They have the right to live in an environment that is pleasant. Vocalizing to coworkers that called off. You have that in an employee lounge, or you have it out in the parking lot like I did one time when I worked at a facility. I waited for her in the parking lot and said, did you enjoy the casino? Because we covered your shift. Don't post pictures after you call off. As you call off and left us short, won't solve anything. You have a job to do, and we aren't happy here. Perhaps long-term care isn't for you. All right? They called off. I'm mad. Move on. Relax. This job is hard. I know your job is hard. No one ever said long-term care was an easy place to work. It is more beneficial to the residents for you to be prepared physically and mentally each time you come to work. So as soon as you clock in, as soon as you walk in that door and you put your lunchbox in the refrigerator, you're going to take a nice deep breath and say, I'm here to do my service for these residents. Because you wouldn't have a job, you wouldn't be providing service if it wasn't for them. We're going to train them young. Take a few moments to prepare your task at hand. Don't rush. Don't get the job done. This will lead to accidents and cause harm to your residents. Stop trying to bring them back. Some of their diseases, it's a non-reversible condition. Many of them residents are looking for a taxi or their mom. I think I shared one with you guys last year or the year before about I had a lady that always looked for the bus, and I got away with it for years. Kept telling her that bus broke down. So, okay, well, I'll catch it tomorrow. Okay, we'll catch it tomorrow. Till one day she looked at me and she said, this bus has been broke down a lot. And then she got mad. Then I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So I gave her a task. I told her, let's go over here and wait and see if we might have missed the bus already. So we need to take ourselves to their world instead of trying to bring them back to ours. Be careful to approach these in a manner not to treat the resident like a child. Think before you act or speak. Be careful what you do not say, or do nothing out of frustration. Words after they're spoke, it's hard to take them back. If you find yourself in a situation that it could become difficult, always make sure the resident is safe and take a few moments. Look at your coworker and say, listen, I need to step out. Her behaviors are starting to get to me. Whisper that. Step out. Get another employee to come in if you feel that you can't take this. The resident has the right to feel safe in his or her home. Understand, we will never be able to say we know exactly how the residents feel unless we're living in a long-term care facility someday. And I do not. I always tell the residents when I'm talking, I have no idea what you're going through. We get the clock out, right? We remember this. You get the clock out and go home. You get in your car, roll the windows down, turn the music up. They don't. This is it. So they transition from a community to a facility, sharing a room with someone you never met in your life. I've been in facilities where they have 3 other beds in the room, so it's 4 to a room. Can you imagine that? What privacy you get there. An employee gets to go home to the end of the day. The resident does not. It's not even an option. So make them feel at home. And then next Tuesday is vote day. They still get to vote. We have more, somebody's got some good music going. We have more opportunities than ever to cast a ballot. It seems as soon as they finish the election, there's another one. God knows I know it. I'm on the election board. So if you have a resident that tells you, hey, no one asked me if I can vote or if I could vote or if I wanted to vote, if they say that to you, please report it and let them know that you'll get someone to come talk to them about voting. I think April has a program or something. She takes care of that ballot that they need. So yeah, they still can vote. Work together. It's not going to happen itself. There ain't no I in team. If our residents are going to receive the best care they can, every employee in this room, you must work together as a team. Bickering and fighting a long-term care facility is a poor reflection on your home as a whole. But it also makes the residents feel that they don't care about your job or them. So good care should be a goal of every employee. Experts. It is, okay, 2 more minutes. It was either this or an x-ray. This wouldn't work. Rely on your peers. And again, I just brought them up in the beginning, your peers. We have them in personal care. I have them on the healthcare side. We have them in the independent side. 2 of them are in the back of the room handing you these bags that they made this morning. If you don't have a peer program, which you do, we will discuss and establish one in your facility. PEER stands for Pennsylvania Empowered Expert Residents. They work tirelessly and advocate for all the fellow residents in the long-term care facility across the Commonwealth and beyond. Actually, last Thursday, was it last Thursday? No, excuse me, 2 Thursdays ago, they all met in one roof in Somerset County, all the peers here in Somerset. They met with the commissioners and our state representative for a lunch. Peers are charged with assuring the rights of all residents regardless of their ability to express themselves and are being respected each and every day. Do your residents know who you are? Do they call you by name? Are you wearing your name tag? And remember too, I know the ombudsman and the state is trying to work on making you guys have name tags like mine. It's front and back. There is no hiding it. I know we're trying to get that regulation changed. A lot of residents or staff will say, well, it gets in my way, and they'll tuck it down in their uniform. Residents have to see your name tag. It is part of your uniform. It should not ever be turned. And I'll tell you another thing too, Department of Health is looking for that as well. Your name tag should be facing out so they can see it. A resident has the right to know who you are and who you say you are. The name tag provides that information. Zip it. It's just like Las Vegas. What happens at home stays at home. Confidential, paramount in the business such as ours. Be sure we're not carrying tales in and out of work. That is it for me. Sit still. I'm going to introduce JD. I forgot already. Leisure, sorry. She is from the Somerset County Area Agency on Aging, Adult Protective Services.
My name is JD, and I'm from the Area Agency on Aging in Somerset County. I have worked there, and I've been doing this for about 12 years. And I'm going to talk to you about the mandatory reporting process and what the Older Adult Protective Services is about. Put my glasses. Protective Services includes activities, resources, or supports provided to older adults under the act to detect, reduce, prevent, or eliminate abuse, neglect, exploitation, or abandonment. Older Adult Protective Services defines an older adult in need of protective services as an incapacitated person in the Commonwealth 60 years of age or older who is unable to obtain or perform services necessary to maintain physical or mental health, for whom there is no responsible caretakers, or who is at imminent risk of his or her property, or person or property. We are a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline. Monday through Friday, you can call the office up at the Area Agency on Aging. Overnights and weekends and holidays, you can still call the office, but they'll give you the 800 number to call after hours. And if you want, I do have a copy of that, so if you need the number or whatnot, I have a copy. See me after. The criteria for an eligible report: they must be a resident of Pennsylvania, 60 years older, have no responsible caregiver, be incapacitated, which means it's unable to perform or obtain necessary to maintain physical or mental, it could be one or both, at imminent risk of danger to a person or property. Usually outside in the community, you can remain anonymous. However, you guys are all mandatory reporters. So you guys, if you see something, say something. A reporter is protected from retaliation. So if you do report it, don't fear of retaliation, because then that person can get in trouble as well. A reporter shall be free from any intimidation by an employer or by any person or entity. Information that could lead to the identification of the reporter is considered confidential most times. The rights under OPSA: an older adult has the right to know that a report has been made and be provided with a brief summary of that report. So like Brenda said, when I do come here and see the older adult, if they do not allow me into their room, I cannot see them. But I will be coming to talk to the nursing staff, administration, anybody that can help me get the information that I need. Any older adult may request and be provided with additional information contained in the report, with the exception of information that may identify the reporter. And like I said, an older adult can refuse to accept services offered by an Area Agency on Aging unless mandated by the court. An older adult has the right to legal counsel when the agency petitions the court for emergency or other orders to provide protective services without the older adult's consent. An older adult has the right to the confidentiality of information received and maintained by agency in reports, investigations, service plans, and other elements of a case record. I'm going to go through a brief summary of the definitions of each abuse. Abuse is defined as the occurrence of one or more of the following acts: the infliction of injury, unreasonable confinement, intimidation, or punishment with resulting physical harm, pain, or mental anguish; the willful deprivation by a caretaker of goods or services which are necessary to maintain physical or mental health; sexual harassment, rape, or abuse. No older adult will be found to be abused solely on the grounds of environmental factors which are beyond the control of the older adult or the caretaker, such as inadequate housing, furnishes, income, clothing, or medical care. So if we get a report just based on their house or their room, there's really, by the state of Pennsylvania, there's not much we can do. Abandonment is the desertion of an older adult by a caretaker. A caretaker is defined as an individual or institution that has assumed the responsibility for the provision of care needed to maintain the physical or mental health of an older adult. The responsibility may arise voluntarily, by contract, by receipt of payment for care, as a result of family relationship, or by order of court of competent jurisdiction. It is not the intent of the act to impose responsibility on an individual if the responsibility would not otherwise exist in the law. Physical abuse. It includes, but is not limited to, punching, slapping, twisting, biting, poking, shaking, shoving. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can guess even the smallest little thing can be grounds for a physical abuse. Exploitation is an act or course of conduct by a caretaker or other person against an older adult or an older adult's resources without the informed consent of the older adult, or with the consent obtained through misrepresentation, coercion, threats of force that results in the monetary, personal, or other benefit, gain, or profit for the perpetrator, or monetary or personal loss to the older adult. If you go into their room and see something you like and take it, that is grounds for exploitation, and that's when you will see me and possibly courts. Neglect. Neglect is defined as the failure to provide for oneself or the failure of a caretaker to provide goods or services essential to avoid a clear and serious threat to physical or mental health. No older adult who does not consent to the provision of protective services shall be found to be neglected solely on the grounds of environmental factors which are beyond the control of the older adult or caretaker, such as inadequate housing, furnishings, income, clothing, or medical care. The caregiver neglect. Active caregiver neglect is willful behavior, intentional withholding of care or necessities. The passive caregiver neglect is not intentional inability to fulfill caregiving responsibilities. Sexual abuse. I don't see a lot of this around this area, but I've heard in other areas that it is a high risk. Sexual abuse is intentionally knowing or recklessly causing or attempting to cause rape, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, sexual assault, statutory sexual assault, aggravated indecent assault, or incest. Forms of sexual abuse: unwanted touching, rape, coerced nudity, sexually explicit photography. So please don't take your phones and take a picture of anybody in that room. For example, I had a girl at a different facility decide to take a picture on Snapchat. It was from here down. She literally took the picture not thinking, posted it on the Snapchat story, and that's when I called in. She is now no longer working in any facility or anywhere because she did that, thinking it was innocent, but it's really not. You cannot take a picture with the older adult and post it. So please don't do that. Okay. How much time do I have? Okay. For nursing homes, administrators or employees who have reasonable cause to suspect that a resident of any age, because we do take reports of any age. We only deal with 60 and older. Even if you call and make a report under 60, we take the report and it will go to Liberty and they will send somebody out to investigate it. Is a victim of abuse must comply with the requirements listed below. Staff to resident to resident, or any other person to resident abuse must be reported, even if it's the smallest thing. If there is an allegation of abuse involving a home staff person, the home shall immediately develop and implement a plan of supervision or suspend the staff person involved in the alleged incident. The home is required to obtain approval for the plan of supervision from the Department of Health and the local area agency on aging. The service plan or suspension must be in place until the home and the AAA conclude the investigation. Licensing may also be part of the decision, so you could lose your license, depending on the investigation. Signs and symptoms. Okay. Behavioral consumers. Behaviors of consumers. Consumers say that they have been victimized, has symptoms of depression, denies problem despite evidence, has stress-related illnesses, is confused about medication and medication management, resists taking medications, being bathed, eating or allowing caregiver to provide care, has poor personal hygiene, incontinence. Signs and symptoms, again, behavioral of caregivers. Fears losing control, is exhausted, overwhelming, physically incapable of providing care, ignores and isolates elder adult, denies or minimizes that there is a problem, refuses or resists services outside the home, shows frustration and blames elder or others for their problems. Again, like Brenda said, everything is confidential. We do try not to talk out in the hallways about the older adult. Protective service workers and supervisors, standby, and clerical staff must complete and sign a confidential statement. During the course of the investigation, confidentiality should be maintained. Information that should be used to identify the reporter may not be released. Additionally, no information should be shared with anyone about the case except for as permitted by the Older Adult Protective Service Act. Lastly, the 5 components of capacity for decision making: understanding basic knowledge of facts, appreciation of the nature and significance of the decision, reasoning the ability to manipulate information, choice, the ability to make known one's decision, values and understanding of what is good for the decider. Lastly, I would just like to say, if you see anything, tell your supervisor, tell the director of nursing, whomever is a supervisor or the administrator. Please report it, even if it's the smallest thing. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Just wanted to thank both of our speakers. Thank you for helping us with these trainings. And I wanted to make sure to thank the peers that gave those nice gifts to all of us. So thank you for putting those together as well. You know, a lot of the stuff that they train about is not necessarily fun things to learn about or to talk about every year, but it's necessary for us to train you. We do know that you're doing a great job on a daily basis, and we thank you for that. You know, some of the things are great reminders, you know, the ABCs that we went through, just to make sure that we're on top of everything on a regular basis. None of us are perfect, but we know that you're doing a wonderful job, and we're just another reminder to stay on top of even the little details of knocking on the door before you go into a room and those sorts of things. Thank you once again, and we're done a little bit early, so have a good afternoon.